This episode is brought to you by Buzzshot, Cogs by Clockwork Dog, PG's Playhouse, and Patreon supporters like you.
Hey, escape room owners. Are you still trying to solve the marketing puzzle? Buzzshot to the rescue. Buzzshot is the secret weapon powering business growth and improving the customer experience. This is software with a ton of pre- and post-game features, including waiver management, creating incredible branded team photos, and streamlined review management for Yelp, TripAdvisor, Google reviews, Facebook reviews, wherever people review. And they also offer integrations with Cogs. Post-game photos are one of the best marketing tools out there. It not only captures the wonderful memories your players had at your company, but it should also be your calling card. Buzzshot has overlays that you can add to escape room team photos with things like the name of the game or your company. Buzzshot has also introduced feedback surveys so you can get nuanced feedback from your customers and spot those small problems before they become big ones. Buzzshot automates all of this for you so you can focus on the fun parts of your business.
Nikayla Hendrickson of Trapped Escape Room says, Buzzshot really revolutionized our post-escape room experience for our customers. It's a fantastic product from a fantastic team. Streamline your marketing and grow your escape room business. Repod listeners get an extended free trial and 20% off your first 3 months with no setup fees or hidden charges. Visit buzzshot.com/repod, that's REPOD, to learn more. Link and details in the show notes. Welcome to the Reality Escape Pod, your lifeline when you need a getaway from the real world. I'm David Spira, alongside my co-host, PG Law. Together, we're exploring immersive gaming from all angles, and we'll be joined by guests who really know their stuff. Today's guests are Will and Kim Rutherford, the owners of Escape Artist Greenville in South Carolina. Since 2015, they have been steadily building and leveling up their escape room business, quietly becoming one of the premier companies in the United States. Their signature blend of story, set design, and performer-driven interactions underpin iconic games like the Starlight Motel and the 3-game epic Chimera Corp Saga. To top it all off, they are also involved in the new hit escape room, The Keepers of Balance. Welcome, Will and Kim.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you so much. Gosh, I feel like that was really a great introduction.
I feel special.
You should. Y'all have been very busy.
I'm so excited to talk to you. You're very active in the escape room community, in our Room Escape Artist Patreon Discord community. So I know that you both are partners in both business and in life. How did you meet?
So I moved down to Clemson, South Carolina, because I was living in Cleveland and the sun doesn't shine there. So I wanted to go somewhere else. And my roommate was in the math program, and Will's roommate was also in the math program. So we met at a end of summer pool party. I think I might have recruited him to be on like my team that was doing some sort of like floaty race across the pool. And then we lost. And I think I yelled at him right away about how he's so tall. He should be good at this. So that was our love story.
I thought the floaty race was for fun, and apparently it was for, I don't know, life bragging rights or something.
I'm still upset about it.
This was like 20 years ago, and I'm still hearing about it.
Yeah.
Well, at least you knew what you were getting into then when you first met.
That's true.
This is true. Yeah. I should have known.
You've both built a lot of stuff together, from a fixer-upper home to at-home haunts to a Western saloon in your living room for a murder mystery. Talk to me about your affinity for building things together.
My goodness. I always say that if we weren't doing the escape room, we would just be building something else. So like every time that we're super busy, and I feel overwhelmed. I'm like, yeah, but if we quit this, we'd be building a haunted house or building out our house for something else. It's just, we both love the creativity.
This sounds so familiar to me because people will sometimes tell me and Lisa, oh, you're working too hard on Room Escape Artist. And we're kind of like, well, if we stopped doing this, it would be something else. So like, leave us alone.
Absolutely. And actually, Escape Artist was our second business that we opened together. We briefly went into the apparel business. We opened a t-shirt company called Head Turn Tees. I'm actually wearing one right now. It was sort of a like kitschy idea that when you take your sunglasses off and hang them on the front of your shirt, it looks like the sideways face on your shirt is wearing your sunglasses. We really thought this was just going to blow up the apparel world. Turns out we didn't want to be in apparel. So, but it was a good kind of test business. Also, we realized that marketing is a huge weakness of ours, so we needed to do something where we didn't have to market as much as well.
Okay, I just want to tell our listeners at home that this is a t-shirt with, this one has, it looks like almost a skull.
Yeah.
But the skull is sideways, so in order to look at it, you have to turn your head. And me and David both did indeed turn our heads when she sat up to show us her shirt.
Can we get a photo for the show notes?
Yes, you should see with glasses on too. That's what sells.
With glasses, for sure.
We have some photo shoots because Will and I were also the models in all of those photo shoots. So we've got some pictures.
Yeah, I also want to mention that Will and Kim are both very attractive, so I could see why you were the models for your company. I had a question, though, about the home haunts and the Western Saloon. Like, how elaborate are we talking here?
I mean, we would put in like 4 months of work on our home haunts, and we had 12 actors in the haunt, and we would transform our garage. We put a facade on the front of our house. We did the 2-car garage, a section of our home, backyard, and then our screened-in porch. So personally, I might be a little biased. I thought it was pretty elaborate. I thought it was pretty good. We heard from some people that it was better than ones that they paid for, but I think we put a lot into it.
It's the reason we bought that house was because it would make a good haunted house.
That is not a joke. Not a joke.
I have been into this my whole life. When I was 12 years old, I was over 6 feet tall. So when I put on a mask and went trick-or-treating...
I feel like you and I had very different experiences at 12 years old.
David's still trick-or-treating in college.
And it was okay. Well, yeah, so I think you know where this is going, right? I don't look like an 8th grader in a Halloween costume. I look like I'm 18. So parents told me, hey, you're too old for this. And so I was shy at the time, so I took it to heart. And I said, well, next year, I'm just going to build my own haunted house. So since the age of 13... I've been building haunted houses and met Kim, and she was okay doing that as well. So
that is a lovely and heartbreaking story of you channeling your trauma into productivity.
No regrets. It helped steer me in the right spot.
I mean, we briefly looked into doing haunted houses professionally, but that's just a tough business. And then we found escape rooms. So who needs haunted houses, you know?
You know, I agree with you. You're both very capable makers in different ways. What do each of you focus on, and where did you develop those skills?
I have definitely gone into more of the woodworking, carpentry, prop and set fabrication and design. So there's actually like a very odd line almost right down the middle between what I do and what Will does. And that came about pretty organically. I was not interested at all. In fact, I hate talking about tech. I just want to describe what I want to happen. And then I want Will to go into his room for 3 hours and just make it happen, right? Just figure it out. I would rather be covered in sawdust. I would rather be wedged into a tiny space trying to get a screw into an impossible spot that I should have done before I built the prop, but forgot. And so now I have to do it. So it just came about really easily. And we do have some crossover, but almost none really, wouldn't you say, Will?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of gameplay design, that's our crossover. But yeah, I do most of the tech stuff. I do enjoy sitting in front of my computer and figuring it out. And Kim, that's not her cup of tea. She wants to jump in with the tools right away. She's much better at that. If there is a problem that needs to be fixed right away, our staff should call Kim. If there's a problem that needs to be fixed in 3 months, I'll start working on it.
This sounds a lot like me and Lisa. If you need something done fast, call Lisa. If you need something elaborate done, call me, but it's going to take a minute.
If you were to come to our escape room when we were building, you might think that Will was just sitting around not doing anything because he's sitting at his computer while I'm installing these things in the escape room. But I sometimes actually have to remind myself, no, he's also working. His work doesn't involve sawdust and drywall dust and all the dust.
It's clear to me that you both have a very strong appreciation for a good costume. Where does that come from?
Well, that was actually my teenage years. So I wasn't 6 foot when I was in 8th grade. So I continued to be able to go trick-or-treating. And my sisters and I were big into making our own costumes. Oddly, it often involved a lot of duct tape, like creating an entire costume out of duct tape.
For the breathability.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The duct tape, it's so easy to get on and off. It's a great idea. To clarify, the duct tape goes on fabric. You're not duct taping your skin. Okay, just to clarify. So we made American Gladiator costumes. We made Wonder Woman, and I don't even remember. I've made so many costumes out of duct tape. That was just like my calling for a while. Maybe do that professionally. I don't know. And then when I met Will, the very first costume I made for him was an American Gladiator's costume out of duct tape. I've since moved on to other mediums. I've explored non-duct tape costume. But yeah, I've always loved costume design and creation.
And we have one really special costume. We got engaged in our Halloween costumes on Halloween.
I was going to ask you at the end of this about the costume proposal.
Oh man, those are some great photos.
Yeah, I was dressed as a skydiver. So I guess if it had gone poorly, he proposed at the top of like a waterfall. I guess I could have just base jumped out of there.
Wait, why would it go poorly?
I'm not saying it would go poorly. I'm just...
I'm out.
And he was wearing a wacky, wavy, inflatable flailing arms tube man costume.
That Kim made.
Yeah, which involved a trash can on his head. So he proposed with a trash can on his head.
That photo, we need to find that photo.
I found that photo.
Oh, you did? Oh, great.
I do thorough stalking of my guests.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yeah, front page of Reddit, baby. That's our big moment.
I got engaged and won a costume contest same day. Best day ever.
And people would say, oh, congratulations. And you'd be like, oh, thank you. I really didn't think I'd win that costume contest. I'm like, no, you got engaged today. That's pretty good. Yeah.
You're both true connoisseurs of immersive games. From exploring escape rooms in Europe, to LARPs, to immersive theater, and even Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser. I'm curious, as you go on all of these journeys, what are you searching for, and what are you bringing back home?
I think a good way of answering that is we don't know what we're searching for until we find it. So we are trying to go to the most diverse, immersive experiences that we can and seek out things that actually are a little outside of our comfort zone. Like the first LARP I did, I had a killer costume and I had nothing else, nothing else going on. And it went in a direction that I wasn't expecting. I think Will can speak to his character as well. But we want to see like what is out there? What are people doing? What are people creating? And importantly, how are people telling stories? So that we can take inspiration from everything and try to integrate it into our escape rooms to maybe show people something they haven't seen before.
Yeah, variety is the key word. I want to see all the different stuff. I'd rather fly across the world to something I've never seen before than drive an hour to an escape room that is similar to things I've seen before.
Boy, do I get that. And I think in the Patreon bonus show, we may talk about some of those LARP experiences because I'm curious to hear more of that.
Oh, fun.
Oh, we can talk about that. Yeah, definitely.
Excellent.
So we know that you got your start building elaborate sets in your home. So how did all of that culminate into the two of you creating Escape Artist Greenville together?
Yeah. So in 2015, we went to a home haunters convention. And these exist. It's a convention full of people that make haunted houses in their home.
If you haven't been, they are very fun.
It's a bunch of people that are there for the art, right? They really are. They're not there for the business. They're all there sharing secrets and talking about how they made some skull or skeleton and all the tricks. And so it's a blast. And we attended a class on someone who had built a 3-minute escape room in their garage. And that really got the wheels turning. And on the long drive home from Ohio, I turned to Kim. I was like, we should do that. I'm sick of packing this thing up every November 1st and saying goodbye to it, until next season. What if we could leave it open year round? How good could it be then, right? So that was kind of the idea.
But that wasn't the first escape room you'd ever played, though, was it?
We decided to open the escape room business. We had never played an escape room. We just felt in our hearts that we could do it. And we knew that we needed to go play games. So we did. We didn't open without playing games. On that car ride home, we said, okay, let's do this. Let's look into it. Let's see if we can do this. And then we played the games. So yeah, no experience.
Okay, so you made the decision to start the business and you're like, let's go do some R&D.
Yeah, we had run a t-shirt business. It's pretty much the same. That's actually where we found Room Escape Artist is we're like, how do you find escape rooms in 2015, right? Which was difficult to do. You couldn't just type in escape room into Google. It took some searching, especially around the Southeast.
Yeah, I was back in those days managing the map and I was scouring the US for escape room companies. So I probably found Escape Artist Greenville and put it on the map back then.
We're honored.
Probably putting us on the map.
If it was me, it was very early days.
Yeah. It did take us about a year to open. So we made that decision. And then it was Will is a planner. I don't know if you picked up on that. He is an engineer. So he does love a good spreadsheet. And I'm a not planner.
Chaos gremlin.
Yes, chaos gremlin. Exactly. I would rather jump in and see what happens and then pivot if we have to. So there is a funny story about when we actually finally took the leap. We had been looking at opening an escape room in a box truck because it was 2015 and we didn't even know what we were doing. And that didn't really go the direction we were wanting, couldn't find one.
Nobody would ensure that.
So I came home from work and I said to Will on my lunch break, I'm like, hey, there's this commercial property for rent. I'm going to go check it out on my lunch break.
Yeah. And I said, cool, just don't sign a lease. Let me look at it before you sign the lease.
So I came back and I said, I signed a lease.
Those are famous last words.
Yes.
Yeah.
This place was just a tiny little, I don't even remember, maybe 200 square foot, maybe.
Yeah.
And I did the calculation. I actually did it wrong the first time, but it wasn't that far off. We needed 12 customers per month to pay our lease. So it wasn't like I went wild and crazy, and it was a 1-year lease. So that was it. That was honestly the kick in the butt we needed to get started. And we did everything wrong. We built our game without having the city approval, without a business license, without anything. And then I just walked into the city building and I said, 1 business license, please.
And they said, what are you doing in here? We were the first escape room in the city. They're like, nope, absolutely not. Are you locking people in and all those things that people thought back then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, wait. So you built the whole thing and then you went and applied for the business license and they said, absolutely not. So then what steps did you have to take to make the situation right?
I don't know if you've ever heard of zoning. So that's a thing. We didn't know about it. We had to go through a zoning commission. I don't know exactly what the word is that you used to describe it, but we had to sit in what felt like a courtroom, and they called us up and they had us plea our case for changing the zoning so that we could allow indoor entertainment in that building. And then I really think the city suspected that we were maybe chaining people up. I just don't know. They reacted very poorly to us wanting to open an escape room. And so they had us go to this safety committee, which is typically reserved for higher risk businesses such as nightclubs and things. And we went into this room that had a very small little desk in the middle of tables that were sort of in the shape of a U. So you're surrounded on 3 sides by all of the important people in the city except for the mayor, but everybody else, the chief of police, the fire chief, the zoning commissioner,
multiple city council people.
And we had to explain to them what our safety protocols were. Remember, we're in a 200 square foot space at that point, right? So you are always 2.5 steps from the door. You are never far from the door.
If you are flammable and have legs, you're never blocking a fire exit.
Exactly. And you have one employee to every group, and that employee is on the other side of the door at all times. So very low risk situation. And so we had to prove this to the city that we're not going to hurt anybody. We have good safety protocols. And I think they quickly realized that they had misjudged us and the attitude started to change. In fact, after the meeting, somebody came up to us and said, oh, we're really sorry we made you do this. We just didn't really understand what escape rooms are. But there was a moment where the chief of police just out of nowhere goes, what on earth makes you think that this business will be successful?
Looked us dead in the eye and said, no one's going to pay money for this. And we're like, Is that your job, sir, as the chief of police, to tell us that we're making a poor business decision? Is it safe? That's, oh gosh.
Doesn't everybody get their business advice from police officers?
This was 2015, though. Like, nobody had even heard of escape rooms. So, like, you really had to pave the way for any future escape room hopefuls because they probably never played one. So I totally understand their point, and I'm glad that they came around to it. Did any of those people ever come check it out after it was open and, like, actually come play?
I'm not sure that the chief of police has, but a lot of the people who are in that room have played the game, yes.
They did come play the game.
You may notice that we have throughout this whole episode been referencing how we're going to go and talk about more stuff in the bonus show. And that is because, oh boy, do we talk about so many things in this bonus show. And Will and Kim knew exactly what they were getting into because they are longtime listeners of both the main show and the bonus show.
Yeah, the conversations we have there are so incredible. And we had a patron tell us recently how pleased they were with the bonus episodes. They said that a lot of times the bonus content is not that much longer, but sometimes our bonus content is longer than the main episode. These typically run for 40 to 60 minutes. So if you're the type of person that loves our content, you love long form content, well, oh boy, do we have more waiting for you in our bonus archives.
Yeah, the archive is deep because we make all sorts of bonus content when we're off season. So when this regular feed has gone dormant between seasons, we are still regularly putting out bonus shows. So if you want access to that archive, it's $5 a month. That's it. Less than a cup of coffee. Less than most things these days. And $5 a month goes so far for us and our team, especially when you multiply it out by lots of supporters. So if you are thinking about getting access to that, you can find it at patreon.com/roomescapeartist. And we thank all of our current patrons and hope that you choose to join their ranks. Your game, The Starlight Motel, was the game that put you on my radar. For years, its fans have hassled us to play it, and for good reason. This game represented a significant leveling up for Escape Artist Greenville that feels like it was deliberate at the time. What were you striving for when you made this game?
Oh my gosh. I love talking about Starlight because it was such a big jump. And we did a lot of it by accident, to be honest. We knew we wanted a scary game, so we started with that. And it was hard for me to imagine something scary without an actor in it. So we wrote an actor in it. We wrote some fun jump scare moments.
Your home haunt had 12 people in it.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, humans can scare and affect people better than any machine out there, right? Any animatronic. So we're like, okay, it needs an actor. Well, if we're going to have an actor there, might as well have them do something interesting and fun. And one thing we learned from doing the home haunt was that, so this was all our friends and family, and they were not professional actors. They were not scare actors, but we'd get them in there. And after maybe 5 or 10 times running it, they would do amazing. And right, you're doing a haunt all day and you're doing it maybe 50 times, running 50 different groups. And so at the end of every night when we did the haunt, Kim and I would walk through the haunted house and they would scare us. We spent 4 months building and writing all these parts and they would entertain the hell out of us. And we're like, this is amazing. So if these people could do it, if my siblings and engineering friends can do it, I was like, can other people do this too? So that gave us some confidence to put some actors into Starlight Motel and just have them do reps and work and work and work until it was something entertaining. So we put our game guides in a situation where they could do some acting. They could play some roles and do a really good job at it.
We also wrote roles that we knew that Will and I could play. So that made us feel more confident. Will and I are not actors. We don't have acting background. Neither of us have been in drama or theater or anything. So we always felt like if we could play those roles, then we could have other people play those roles. So that was where our Lou character came from. Lou is just grumpy and snarky, and that is easy for me to play and Will to play. Turns out people like to play that role. That was how we developed the Lou character. Really, Lou is the lifeblood of Starlight, and that was what drove almost all of our decisions. I also want to touch on the set design of Starlight because prior to that, I do all of the sets, all the set design and building, but we started to get a lot of really good feedback about our Starlight set. And the truth is that that's just what the building looked like. It's an old building. And so there's almost no set design in there. We just used what was in there. The walls looked like an old 70s motel, which is why we made it a 70s motel. But I will tell you, when people say, wow, Kim, you did such a great job on that set, you start to believe in yourself, even though you know you didn't really do that much.
Fake it until you become it.
Exactly. So yeah, Starlight Motel was a big step, I think, for us, mostly from the storytelling element.
What were the biggest lessons for you from the success of Starlight Motel?
Oh, man. So Starlight Motel, for years, we were so afraid to like touch it or change it or anything because we were getting a lot of positive feedback for it. And I don't think we had fully figured out why. We knew it was fun and we knew it wasn't fun, but I don't think we could fully like explain it. Starlight Motel uses 2 performers. And so one performer helped set up for the other performer and back and forth. And that is a huge deal. And that was very risky, especially back in 2018 when everyone is saying how I have one game master running 4 rooms and it's great because there's 40 people in there to one. And it made us look like a fool, right? What are you doing having 2 people run one game? Well, it's not quite a 2-to-1 ratio. That second person's only there for a portion of it, but they feel like they're there for a lot longer. And so it makes a big impact, even though they're just there for 10, 15 minutes of that experience. So that was something we learned with Starlight. We learned how much fun it is to have performers and live characters that you do puzzles with.
I know that I spent probably 80 to 90% of my time in that game bantering with the characters because I just had a lot of fun with Lou.
I do have a good Starlight point that I was just thinking of. And what's funny about Starlight is for so many years, people would say, hey, this is the greatest story. Wow, what a great story. This story's so amazing. The story is very average, right? It's a very average story that you've played 100 times. What's interesting about it is the live character. That person is dynamic, and that person responding to you and steering your experience, that's what's amazing about it. Not the story. It's just people create more of a story through that character.
I think that players have their own story with that character, whereas normally, I think you're right. I have played the murderer in a hotel, motel environment many, many times. This one was dynamic because of the performance element and because I was able to make my own story with that performer.
Yeah, and we actually hear all the time that people want to come back and play again because it's so different with different performers. So they want to come back and experience a different performer. They want to see how that changes the game. Even though they're really still playing the same game, you can get a really different experience. So yeah, I think that's a fun element.
I have no doubt about that. Now, your website claims in our most recent customer survey, 98% of respondents said that the presence of the actors enhanced the experience. Talk to me a little bit more about that, because I feel like there's a lot of people loudly saying in the escape room community that like, oh no, actors are a problem, actors are a detriment, actors are not a good business decision.
Yeah, and a few years ago, we sent out a customer survey, and that was exactly the question. To the live performers, did they increase the experience? Did they decrease your enjoyment, or neutral? And 98% people said it increased their experience. And I know I've played poorly written, I'm not even going to say poorly acted, but I've played poorly written games with live performers in there where they aren't directed to do something interesting or fun.
They're babysitters.
They're babysitters, right? Nobody likes to be babysat. And that was something that we wrote into Starlight Motel, is that Lou has the ability to leave, not leave like looking over your shoulder. They're out of the room and they can come at your beck and call. And if you want to hang out with Lou the whole time, that's great. If you only want to see Lou for those absolutely mandatory parts, that's great too. We want to cater to the group.
I'm just going to shift gears a little bit and talk about your newest project, the Chimera Corp Saga. The Chimera Corp Saga consists of 3 escape rooms tied together by a common storyline, and it's played in a specific order. Can you explain what this is and how it works?
A few years ago, we were approached by a business that wanted us to open an escape room there, and they got us excited about creating something completely new. And we started talking about this dream facility where you can actually go into dreams. And that actually didn't end up happening. We didn't end up moving into that building, but we were so deep into designing this that we decided like, okay, I don't care what we have to do. We have to open this. So from the very beginning, we had this idea that we would have 3 games in a building. The magic circle starts at the door. This is all a world that you experience from the moment you walk in, and that it could be played as one experience where you unite those 3 games under one overarching story. So we opened Castle Floofendor like a year ago. And then that finally gave us the opportunity to lean into the overarching story and create our Saga. It has been a labor of love because, as you can imagine, over the years, the stories change. Each individual game has to be a standalone game as well as a part of the Saga. So creating the Saga, we had to go back and make some changes to our games that have also existed. But the whole point is that you get to be immersed in this world of Chimera Corp, and you see the underbelly of it. And as you're traversing through it, you get to experience a full day in this world, and you get to be the hero.
Okay, so it's 3 escape rooms that you play kind of back to back. They're linked together by an overarching story. Now, when designing the individual escape rooms for it, did you make those rooms with this overarching story in mind, or those were all standalone games and you somehow made it fit into a common universe?
A little bit of both. From the beginning, we knew that we wanted 3 stories that all went together and combined to be the downfall of Chimera Corp. We hadn't had those stories completely written yet. And one of the big things we wanted with this facility is we wanted the player to understand the connections and feel the story. We've been to other escape room facilities where, at the end of the game master points out, oh, did you notice that that newspaper is the same name as that person in that other game? And that's fun. But if you have to point it out, we missed the whole point of it, right? We wanted to make sure that people picked up on this on their own without us having to explain it at the end. That was really, really important. So that part of a strong connection between the 3, and then 3 stories that all had very different genres. And so with the Saga, we have a whimsical family-friendly game, we have a horror game, and we have a sci-fi experience. And so combining those 3 different genres with a through-line story, it took a lot of work. The story went a different direction than we thought it was going to when we started creating the games. We can say that for sure. Because we created the first 2 and we had a direction for where story 3 was going to go. But the people after playing the first 2 was like, what happens to this character? What happens to this person? And we're like, we weren't going to put that in the other game.
Good question.
Good question. Okay, people care about this character. Let's go in that direction for game number 3. So there was a lot of writing. We spent more time writing Castle Floofendor than any other game we've ever written. And I'm pleased with where it ended up. It feels very detailed and people enjoy it.
To add a little bit of extra context here, it's 3 games. They're played in a very specific order. And in between, there are lobby interactions. And all of those interactions are stitching the game together. They're adding a lot of extra context. Sometimes they're adding snacks. But mostly they are there helping to build and facilitate this world, and also introducing you to some of the other characters you might meet along the way.
Oh, so there are breaks. It's not like you exit one game and you're going directly into the front door of the next game. You have a small break, just like you would if you were playing multiple games at a company. You get a little bit of downtime, maybe time to use the bathroom or have some snacks, have some water, things like that.
It literally feels like you're playing 3 games that are separate games at an escape room company. You're having what feel like almost your standard lobby interactions. It's just that they're not your standard lobby interactions. But if someone were to watch this happen and not hear what was being said, they would think, oh, escape room lobby.
Well, in reality, you are actually playing the part of a customer going to this lucid dreaming facility. So you don't have to put yourself into some wild character in order to get into that. So the first 2 games that you play, you are just a customer, right? So you're in a lobby at a business, and that business is oddly similar to an escape room business because you're going to a different world for a little bit on a little vacation, a little adventure. And then at the end of it, things may or may not go to plan. and you take a leap and become an employee at that business, which is sort of a fun transition. That's probably my favorite transition.
Mine too.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. It's really great. I think it's our employees' favorite transition to act as well. They love it. So then you have this final game that occurs with you now in the role as first day new employees, which is also a role that's not really hard to put yourself in. We've all had our first day on a job, but that's where you get to kind of see what this corporation is from behind the closed doors. And we also, David, add in some bonus content at the end. So our Help Wanted game has about 15 minutes of additional content at the very end of it that does not occur when you play it in its traditional form. And that is because we wanted to tie everything up and have that conclusion, have the satisfaction of seeing these characters come to the end of their storylines. And people are loving that. We can't believe how much people care about these characters, really.
That was my favorite part by far.
Thank you. The important thing to say about why it's an extra 15 minutes of content is if you didn't play the Saga, you would not care about those characters and you don't need that extra 15 minutes. The story comes to a conclusion. And if we showed you that extra 15 minutes, it wouldn't make any sense. It wouldn't be beneficial to you.
What do you get when you mix pals, puzzles, and trivia? That's right, it's PG's Playhouse, our newest podcast where you can play along with our guests through some games featuring a blend of wordplay and trivia.
Then I share an interesting bit of trivia, lore, or history based on the episode's theme.
The game for episode 18 was called To the Windows, where every word contained either the letters W-I-N or D-O-W in that order. And the clue today is an unexpected gain or advantage. And stick around, we'll tell you the answer at the end of this segment.
This episode was all about the wonderful word defenestration, or the act of throwing someone out a window. In episode 18, I gave a short lesson on the history of defenestration and why it may or may not have played a role in some significant political uprisings.
To listen to this episode, check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can just search for PG's Playhouse or click the link in our show notes. Oh, and the answer to an unexpected gain or advantage was windfall. By the way, this episode has a bonus 5-minute mystery I wrote that's set in an escape room. Check out episode 18, Defenestration, and see if you can solve the mystery.
When I played the Saga, I played it in the order of Castle Floofendor, which is the whimsical Good Dream game, then Dark Lullaby, which is the not-so-whimsical Nightmare, and then the final one is Help Wanted, where you are playing as an employee at this company. That, as I understand it, is not the order that the Saga has always progressed. So for those who are listening and are like, he's spewing lies, help everybody who is listening understand a little bit about the progression of how this thing developed.
We always knew that we needed to connect these stories, but we really did not know how. And in fact, it was probably one of our biggest friction points between Will and I, trying to figure out how to come to a conclusion here and connect them. And I was definitely pushing more for some bonus content. And then, can you play them in any order? We just couldn't figure it out. Originally, we felt like the correct order was to introduce the world of the company by starting with Help Wanted. And that was useful in a way because you got to know what this world was. You had more of a setting, this 1960s kind of evil corporation. But it didn't allow for us to tie up the loose ends because then you'd have to finish your story in either a nightmare or in a dream. And those aren't in the real world. So how do you do that? And so originally that was the route that we went, and it just was not happening the way we wanted it to. And then one of our employees, thank you, Connor, he said, well, what if you end with Help Wanted? And I swear to you, it was like just a facepalm in that moment. Will and I have been talking about this for months, years even. Everything never occurred to us to finish with Help Wanted because that was the first game we built there. In our minds, we were so stuck on that order. And then it just all fell into place.
Sometimes it's hard to see from the inside.
Yes.
Absolutely. There was an interaction that we started Help Wanted off, and we liked it so much that we just couldn't see past that. And we're like, we can't do it the other way because then you lose this interaction, which is no longer part of the saga because we have something better now.
So who is the saga targeted at? Is there enough of an enthusiast audience out there to make it worth designing and running? Like, how often do you run the full thing?
We probably run it almost once a day.
Oh, okay.
During the summer, right, which is a busy time, at least once a day, we were running a saga group, which was fantastic. And it's not all enthusiasts. It's people that have played a couple games, but there's just a certain type of person who is ready to jump in. They're like, I want the best thing. What's the best thing? Give that to me. I'm ready for it. Sometimes it's people that haven't played a ton of games and they still come in, have a great time. You don't have to be an advanced puzzler to have fun in the Chimera Corp saga.
In fact, we actually recently had to convince a corporate team building group to not do the saga because we were like, I'm just going to tell you right now, I don't know if this is the right thing for you. Let's just start with one game. And once we explained to them what the full saga was, the organizer was like, okay, I see your point. That's great. I want to come back and play the saga, but I maybe don't have to involuntarily make all of my employees play the saga. So it has so much appeal and people want to play your best thing that even corporate team building is looking at it.
Interesting.
To be fair, that corporate team group wanted to have multiple groups race through the saga, which would be just the worst experience of, I mean, could you just imagine the...
No, I mean, I can, but no.
That's literally not the point of it.
And that's what we had to explain to them. Like, okay, that is not what this is about. You can do that on your own time.
They'd be booing our performers. Just get out of the way. We need to do puzzles and race through this thing.
And then we're going to grade each worker on their performance. They're going to get a performance review.
Yes.
From my perspective, the saga is an incredible experience, and each game within the saga is great in its own right. However, together, they are so much more than the sum of their parts. And to put a cherry on top of this compliment for you, when we were visiting you, it was Lisa and I playing with Teresa Wagner from the Room Escape Artist team and her partner Ryan. And all four of us have played a lot of different games, and each one of us walked out of Escape Artist Greenville preferring a different game. Each and every one of us. I don't think I've ever seen that happen, where four people walk into a company and leave with a different preference, especially people who are as experienced as the crew that we brought. I don't think I've ever seen it happen before.
I love that so much. That makes me so happy.
Made me happy.
That is a compliment that I think means even more than people just saying like, oh, Castle Floofendor, which has gotten the most attention of any of our games. We want you to love everything. Even our old games, we go back and tinker and change and improve. Yeah, that means a lot.
While visiting Escape Artist Greenville, I realized the incredible extent to which your team of employees feel creative ownership over their work. They seem truly empowered, and the level of love, care, and craft that I felt from each and every one of them was astonishing. How have you gone about developing your team and cultivating that culture?
Honestly, it's kind of embarrassing that we haven't talked about our employees very much yet because we are not the reason why anybody is talking about Escape Artist. It's because of the people who bring those characters to life. And we value what they do for us more than anything else. But what we've learned over the years is that they're the ones who are living it. They're the ones who are boots on the ground. They're playing that character. And they understand the characters more than even Will and I do at this point. So we need to have that conversation back and forth about what's happening in the game, how are customers reacting to these interactions. And over the years of having those conversations, it's really grown into a much more collaborative team. We have meetings with them and discuss where the characters are going, what is the storytelling. And they are so incredibly instrumental in the saga, particularly. We had meetings with them about what we needed to do. In one meeting, one of our employees had an idea that he was so excited about that he jumped out of his chair, went behind it and crouched down so you could only see his eyes above the back of the chair. And when he told his story, all of the rest of our employees, including Will and I, stood up and we gave him a standing ovation. It was incredible.
He's like an idea gargoyle or something. It was great. Kim's right. We have an incredibly special group of people. I worked like a regular corporate job for a long time. And so I know what it feels like to not be appreciated. And maybe not appreciated is not the right term, but I know what it means to not have an impact. I could have left it any day and it wouldn't have affected the stock price, right? Like it wouldn't have made a blip in the radar. And that's not the kind of environment we wanted to have here. We need to listen to our team and they need to have some agency in what we do, right? If it is just Kim and Will thinking of all the ideas, that's 2 brains. If we can have 16 brains thinking of ideas, think of how much more efficient you are that way.
We've also learned that our employees have so many talents that extend beyond what we're utilizing them for. So we have an employee, Quill. He does in Castle Floofendor, there's a lot of soft props, a lot of fabric. And Quill is the reason that there are soft props in that room. He has helped sew and create everything that we have in there. And we have an employee that is incredibly talented at art, set, script writing. She's done animation. Shout out to Audrey. Connor has done a lot of our voice acting. And those are just things that you don't even know when you hire them. But then we have those conversations with them like, what's your hidden talent? What can you bring to the table that we can't? And unlocking those talents has been, I think, personally, one of the more fun things that we've been able to do with our employees.
It's awesome. Your team has also played some phenomenal games. They really understand high-end escape rooms. And I know because I had quite a few conversations with your people while I was in town. What has that done for your company and its culture?
Everything. It's been so helpful. So Richard Burns, who had such an impact on Escape Artist Greenville.
Fellow room escape artist person.
Yes, absolutely. Richard and Heather. So Kim and I have traveled with them to play games. They pretty much pulled us into the Netherlands and said, hey, we like what you guys do, but you should see some of this other stuff over here. So beneficial to us. And he brought up the idea of having some of our team. This was all his idea, having some of our team go to both Montreal and LA. Because if we can be inspired by some of these trips, why not them, right? They're the ones that interact with the customers 40 hours a week. So if they can improve, it's actually better for the company, I think. So they got to play games with actors, they got to play games with amazing sets, got to see all sorts of different things, and came back inspired, smarter, and better game guides, better creatives.
And I'm paraphrasing Richard here, but essentially the European market, the game guides are really well played. They have the benefit of being close to other top games in the world. And we just don't have that benefit here. So I think what Richard is trying to do and that we are 100% on board with is we're trying to bring those creatives, those game guides closer together and create a network amongst them because they can learn so much from each other and they should. So again, this is all Richard. He has pushed us to do this. I mean, he didn't have to push us hard. We were excited to do it. But yeah, we have seen the enthusiasm in our employees skyrocket. We had a 3-hour meeting when they got back from Montreal, and we still haven't even talked about Magnifico. Like, we have to have a second meeting to talk about Magnifico. Yeah, it's really fun to see their enthusiasm.
This is Richard Burns' Play More Games program. Richard and Heather do this together. This is a thing that is separate from Room Escape Artist. I just want to be very clear about that. This is their own passion project that I think is just wonderful.
I love that so much. You know, I always say that your employees, the game guides, the game masters, they're the ones that are representing the escape room. They're the face of the escape room company. That's where they're getting their interactions from. And so when you can feed that enthusiasm to the employees, it makes a big difference. And, you know, you just want to make sure that your employees are informed as to the larger industry so that no matter whether they're trying to convert new players into enthusiasts or they're talking to enthusiasts, they sound smart and intelligent and well-informed, and they will just make your company feel more accessible and just more memorable, no matter the experience level of the players.
Changing subjects, from a business perspective, you have recently purchased one of the 2 buildings that make up Escape Artist Greenville. What do you feel the long-term implications are of truly owning your own space?
Well, we would only have one location right now if we didn't. There's some direct implications.
First of all, the option was purchase the building or close the business.
Oh, gun to your head.
Yeah.
It's amazing how you can just all of a sudden buy a building when you have a gun to your head.
But congratulations, we've lost some greats because of the lack of location. So I'm really excited for you.
Thank you.
Today, a friend told me about them losing their location. A friend that's been in the business a long time. They have a location in a mall. The mall pulled some loophole and cut their lease and said, you got to be out in 30 days. Actually broke their lease because another business is coming in.
Oh my.
I will say that maybe for the Patreon, there is a fantastic story about how we acquired our building.
I was going to ask exactly that for the Patreon. You have a wild story, and we will definitely share it there.
We sure do.
I also want to talk to you about your pricing strategy when we're doing the bonus show, because I think that you have brought to life a lot of really interesting ideas around how to price your games, and I'd love to talk more about that.
Yeah, for outside of the Patreon, we're probably in a similar situation to a lot of owners out there where we were the ones upkeeping the building. We were the ones doing the repairs, fixing the HVAC, all these things. So really, the extra risk of owning the building was just that we were paying a little bit more money. And honestly, once it was going to get refinanced, we were going to pay that anyway and not own it. We were just going to pay more rent. So our choices were pay double rent, lose the building, or own it. So it was an easy call, but it was so much work, and I'm so glad we did it. It was very stressful.
I'm happy for you.
Thanks.
Yeah, the peace of mind must be amazing. But do you think this also means that you'll now be willing to put more money into improvements and improving set and like building long-term permanent sets?
I really don't think that at any point we ever really made the conscious decision to not do something because we didn't own the building. And that's stupid in some ways, right? Because we were putting a lot of money into that building and a lot of money into our games. And so I think we're just fortunate that it has ended up the way it has. But now I will say we are putting money into the building. We're trying to improve the facade. We are saying, okay, this is ours. This isn't somebody else's. Let's really put our mark on it. And we don't have to feel that gut like, God, I'm putting money into somebody else's building. So we were already doing it, but now we feel better about it.
When you're putting money, especially in the exterior, to someone else's building, you're making it easier for them to sell to someone else. It's just true, right? So it feels great. The dollars spent on the building feel a lot better this year than they did last year.
I have no doubt.
Hello, Alex from Cogs here again. Instead of PG telling you about Cogs, which she does wonderfully, by the way, I mean, we all love the way she says Cogs by Clockwork Dog. I mean, heaven. But instead, I thought I'd get one of our customers to tell you what they think. You're about to hear from Tom Bainon, creative producer at The Path Entertainment Group, who made Monopoly Life-Sized, Saw, The Escape Experience, and The Paddington Bear Experience, all of which ran on Cogs. Take it away, Tom.
Cogs, it actually opened up a lot of creative doors for us because what it allowed us to do was think about how we were going to control this experience in a completely different way. So, you know, when we first opened, we had an attraction that had one actor per 6-player team, which was lovely, but actually from an operational perspective was very challenging because, you know, we're not selling all of those games out all of the time, and it's an expensive way to run an attraction. So we actually put more cogs into the puzzle rooms so that we could reduce that operational strain on the attraction overall.
Thanks, Tom. If you'd like to know more about Cogs, go to cogs.show or find us on Instagram or TikTok. We've also got a YouTube channel, The Cogs Lab, where you can listen to our new podcast, Inventures. So, see you there. Oh, and you can also get an exclusive 50% off our starter set plus free shipping by using the code REPOD, that's R-E-P-O-D, at checkout. Tatty bye!
So, the Keepers of Balance is rapidly emerging as a powerhouse escape room company in Charlotte, North Carolina. We've heard a lot about it. What is your role or involvement with the Keepers of Balance?
Yeah, so we joined the team last year about, I want to say May, and we joined at a low point. Keepers of Balance was in a tough spot and needed some help. And I would say that we are two of the people that jumped in and started turning this boat around and rowing it back in a positive direction. We've done whatever needs to be done. It's sometimes been advice, sometimes been jumping in and pulling wires, whatever needs to be done to help that come to life because we really believe in it. And it is something amazing, and it's going to continue to be more and more amazing.
Yeah, and honestly, I think the best thing that we might have been able to do for them was to help get them other people that are in the escape room industry to build their team out with other escape room people. So they have a fantastic team now that really the primary person that we pointed them toward was our former manager, Josh Corns. If you don't know Josh, it's just because he hasn't found you yet. Like, he is so good at making friends and keeping friends and really trying to bring the community closer together. And he's incredibly passionate about escape rooms. So he was a huge get for them. And then that helped to expand their team. AJ Stewart owned an escape room in Black Mountain. Unfortunately, that business he's had to step away from, and part of that was from Hurricane Helene. He had to end up leaving Black Mountain. So he joined the Keepers of Balance team, and he's a spectacular carpenter and escape room designer and has really filled this role that I was going to try to help fill, but it was going to be tough for me to do as much building as needed to be done. And AJ is so much better at carpentry than I am. So they really kind of leveled up a good bit there.
I have to tell you, after visiting the Keepers of Balance and playing the Temple of Light, the work and effort and I think buckets of blood, sweat, and tears that so many people put into it, also probably buckets of money, is so incredibly worth it. It's a remarkable game, and it pleases me to inform you that it is winning a Golden Lock Award.
Hey, we get to take 10% claim of that, or some small percent.
And you can share it with the team.
Yes.
That's great to hear. It really took so many people to make that happen. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm really proud of that whole Keepers of Balance crew, every single person involved with it, because it really did look from the outside like it was never going to happen. That dream was never going to come true. And after visiting, my reaction was, there is a lot more work to do, but this dream is going to come true. This crew is going to pull through, and what they make is going to be incredibly cool.
And that is actually a testament to Ryan Griffith. His tenacity and his unwillingness to give up is really what has kept this project going. I think people would have potentially walked away a few times, but this was his passion. He wanted to make it happen.
Who's the guy that calls the Avengers together?
Nick Fury.
Okay, so Ryan is like Nick Fury. He's called all the Avengers together, but he's also kind of Atlas because he has to hold up the world as all the Avengers do all the things. He's worked incredibly hard to make that happen. A lot of people have worked incredibly hard, but Ryan, no question, has sacrificed the most.
It was very clear talking to him after playing the Temple of Light, and I could feel from that conversation what he had been through. And I'm just really excited for him that there's a lot more mountains to climb here, but he's over one of the most painful ones, I think. And I just look forward to a few more games getting open and then being able to run a tour down there and visit all of you and bring a whole bunch of people, because that is something that I badly want to do.
That would be a blast.
Yeah, we're in.
Great.
We're in.
Now we have to put together our before the tour to-do list.
If I can give just a compliment to the Keepers of Balance team, which we were not really involved in operations, but what they were able to do in terms of getting that game up and pipeline so quickly, they went from never running the game at all other than beta testing to running 19 pipeline games on a Saturday in about 2 weeks. We're talking quality games where the groups are not aware that they're pipelined. They're not interfering with each other or interacting. And to me, that's really important for the future of the industry, to be able to spend a lot of money on a game and then be able to have a business plan where that actually works and is profitable. It's amazing.
Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit more about pipelining in the bonus episode also, because this has been an ongoing conversation in our Patreon community. I have some very strong opinions that are very much in favor of pipelining, at least if you're trying to do something great.
There are a lot of heated opinions.
I am excited to talk about that.
Will and I have had some heated discussions about pipelining, and I've become a believer. It took a while.
Yeah.
We had only played poorly pipelined games where you could tell, and it was very obvious until we can talk about it.
We'll talk about it later. But the top line for everybody here, my thesis is simply pipelining is essential if you want to make truly high-end experiences and put a lot of money into them. because pipelining enables you to get enough customers, enough throughput that you can get a return on that investment before you drown. And that is why I think that it is such an important tool. There are ways to do it poorly, but there are also some remarkable ways to do it exceptionally well. And we'll talk more about that.
Yes. And I want to remember to say that I think that it can be even larger than that with the changing escape room industry and how economy and everything could be changing it, that it could be something that could expand even further to lower budget games.
I would agree with that as well.
Yeah.
So I'll just plug the Patreon Discord chat. If you want to refute David's opinion, you all are welcome to. And there's been a lot of opinions on this topic in the Discord chat. It's been very active. Patreon.com/RoomEscapeArtist. Will and Kim, what comes next for you? Any future projects in the works?
Always.
There are always a million future projects in the works. The list is endless, but we're right now designing our new game. It will be probably our most story-driven game that we've ever created. Not to say that it's the most ambitious story that we're trying to tell. It will be a very sweet story-driven game.
I think it'll be our most emotional game.
Yeah. I think that brings up that because we designed haunted houses, we always thought that our strengths would be in telling stories that were scary. And then we pushed ourselves to design Floofendor, and we're like, there's something to this whimsy. It's pretty fun. I love it. And so now we're leaning a little bit more toward that whimsical, that emotional, that sweet. And we hope that people like it because we're really having a lot of fun doing that.
I can't wait to see it.
We're trying an angle that we haven't seen done. I haven't seen done in the US or Europe in any of the games we played. What we're trying to do story-wise with this angle. It's a cheap trick, but hopefully it'll work.
Don't overhype this, Will.
Story-wise.
I'm looking forward to sobbing after playing this game when it comes out and I finally have a chance to come visit you. So for all of our listeners at home, they love what they're hearing. They want to follow your work and connect with you. What's the best place for them to do so?
Escape Artist Greenville on Instagram, Facebook. You can email info@Escape Artist Greenville if you want to do an email conversation. That will go directly to Kim and I. I'm on Discord all the time in all the escape room groups.
Discord is the only place to find me on the internet.
Yeah.
I don't exist anywhere else. So.
I'm very reachable on Discord.
I'll put a link in the show notes. How about that?
That would be perfect.
Will, Kim, thank you both so much for joining us. I have been looking forward to interviewing you for a very long time. I've known you for a long time, but I only just got to play your games. But I'm so glad that I visited you when I did, because I feel like I showed up in Greenville just as you had solved so much of what you have been striving for. And I saw the Saga at just like peak performance. And I was able to see the Starlight Motel and understand where all of that creative power came from. And I was able to play your earlier games and appreciate how fun they were, even though they were not the most built out things. I got to see this whole arc that you have been on for a decade, and it is so exceptionally cool. And to meet your team and to see and feel how excited they all are about the work that they're doing. It was just a joyous trip for me, and this conversation has been just as joyous. So thank you.
Well, that's reciprocated. We were so excited to have you all come, and our employees still talk about the banter that you had with our performers. You left an impact on our group.
They also talk about your unusual appetites for things that are not fully food.
Whoa.
That's Teresa Wagner, not me.
You eat one piece of paper and it just follows you for life.
One piece of paper?
She ate more than one piece of paper. This episode of Reality Escape Pod is produced by Teresa Piazza with support by Lisa Spira and Richard Burns. We're edited by Steve Ewing of Stand Inside Media, music by Ryan Elder, logo by Janine Proct, and all of this is brought to you by RoomEscapeArtist.com, your home for well-researched, rational, and reasonably humorous escape room and immersive gaming content and events. Thank you to all of our highest tier Patreon supporters: Chris Laughlin, Panic Room, Olivier Escape, Escaparium, Breakout Games, Derek Tam, Andy Mincer, Mystery Unfolds, Karen, Byron Delmonico, Keystone Escape Games, and Rex Miller. Thank you to all of you for your ongoing support.
If you've made it all the way to the end of the episode, you're still here, looks like you had a pretty good time listening, we would love it if you took that good time and left us a review. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. It helps with making people find our podcast, and it even helps us with getting guests on the show.
And if writing a review is a bridge too far, just share the link to an episode that you like with someone who you think will appreciate it. Word of mouth, that is the thing that helps us grow. Thank you so much for supporting us, however you're doing it, whether it is on Patreon, with a review, or just sharing a link. We appreciate you.
This is a story of failure. All right, it's 2018, and we're bringing the lift, which is our elevator-themed mobile escape room, to a wedding reception. Problem number one, the lift, it's not that mobile. It's 15 large, heavy panels and doors and ceiling and speakers and wires. It takes Kim and I about 2 hours of hard work to set it up. Problem two, the wedding venue is called Up on the Roof because it was up on the roof of a hotel. So we had to put our elevator on their elevator to get to the wedding.
So when we started unloading our escape room, we realized very quickly that our big 4-foot by 8-foot panels could barely even fit in their elevator. And it took 2 of us minutes of finagling these panels to even get them inside. And by the time you got one panel in and turned to get the next, the elevator doors had closed because somebody else had called it, and your panel was gone. You hoped it was going to come back eventually, and all you could do was just press the button and wait and wait. And sometimes when the doors opened, it was somebody with a cleaning cart looking at you angrily, and then you had to wait. So that was pretty rough. But then to even make matters worse, the elevators opened into the kitchen at the very top of the hotel that was actively preparing food for this wedding reception. So we had to pull out these big, bulky parts for the escape room, haul them through this bustling kitchen out to the venue to set it up. And if we thought that the people on the elevator were annoyed with us, we knew that the people in the kitchen hated us.
No, the entire hotel staff hated us. Dirty looks all around. And the worst part is, like, when we booked this, we knew it was a bad idea. The moral of the story is sometimes you need to learn to say no.
Amen.
Just say no sometimes.
We refer to that day as the most stressful day in escape artist history.